They called him America's most prolific serial killer, Samuel Little. With over 90 confessed murders spanning decades, his name is etched in history as a chilling reminder of the horrors that can hide in plain sight. But how did one man evade justice for so long? And who were the lives lost in his deadly spree? Join us as we uncover the untold story of Samuel Little, a journey through his troubled past, his heinous crimes, and the pursuit of justice that finally brought him down. Samuel Little was born on June 7, 1940, in Reynolds, Georgia. His early years were marked by instability and neglect. Little was raised primarily by his grandmother after his mother, who is believed to have been a prostitute, abandoned him at a young age. This abandonment left a lasting impact, shaping the future trajectory of his life. Little's upbringing in Lorain, Ohio, was anything but smooth. He struggled in school, showing early signs of behavioral issues. Teachers reported him as having difficulty following rules, and he frequently got into fights with classmates. By his teenage years, he had already begun his descent into criminal activity. He was arrested for petty crimes such as shoplifting and breaking and entering, but these early offenses were just the tip of the iceberg. Little's brushes with the law became more frequent, hinting at a darker path ahead. Despite numerous opportunities for intervention, Little's violent tendencies went largely unaddressed, a failure that would have catastrophic consequences later in life. Samuel Little's initial arrests were for minor offenses, but his behavior soon escalated. By the 1960s, he had been arrested for assault and theft in multiple states. Each time, he seemed to slip through the cracks of the justice system. He served short sentences, but was never adequately rehabilitated or closely monitored upon release. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Little's criminal activities took a more sinister turn. He began targeting women, often those who were marginalized: prostitutes, drug addicts, and runaways. These women were easy prey, their disappearances often going unnoticed by society at large. This pattern of selecting vulnerable victims became a hallmark of his crimes, allowing him to operate undetected for decades. Little's first confirmed murder is believed to have occurred in 1970, but the true beginning of his spree remains shrouded in mystery. Unlike many serial killers, Little did not follow a consistent timeline. He would commit murders sporadically, often leaving years between his crimes. This lack of a clear pattern made it difficult for law enforcement to connect the dots. His method of killing was particularly calculated. Little used his hands to strangle his victims, ensuring there was little physical evidence left behind. The lack of gunshot wounds or stab marks meant that many of his victims' deaths were misclassified as overdoses or natural causes. This misclassification allowed him to continue his reign of terror unchecked. The stories of Samuel Little's victims are heartbreaking and haunting. These were women who often lived on the fringes of society, making them invisible to many. One such victim was Mary Ann Jenkins, a young woman who disappeared in the early 1980s. Her family searched tirelessly for her, but her remains were not identified until decades later. Another victim, Denise Brothers, was a mother of two who struggled with addiction. She trusted Little, not knowing his true intentions. Her body was discovered in a shallow grave, but her killer remained unknown for years. Little's ability to evade capture for so long was partly due to the lack of communication between jurisdictions. Police departments across states often failed to share information, allowing Little to move freely and continue his killing spree. In 2012, Samuel Little's luck finally ran out. Arrested in Kentucky on a minor drug charge, his DNA was entered into a national database. This led to a match with 3 unsolved murders in California from the 1980s. Forensic advancements and the determination of cold case investigators played a crucial role in linking Little to these crimes. In 2014, he was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. But this was only the beginning of the revelations. Over the next few years, as investigators delved deeper, they uncovered a staggering number of unsolved cases that bore Little's signature. In 2018, Little shocked the world by confessing to 93 murders. He provided chillingly detailed accounts of each crime, often sketching portraits of his victims from memory. These sketches became a vital tool for investigators, helping to identify several previously unknown victims. The FBI eventually confirmed over 60 of these confessions, making him the most prolific serial killer in American history. Little's confessions also brought closure to many families, though the pain of their loss remained immeasurable. What drove Samuel Little to commit such heinous acts? Criminal psychologists describe him as a manipulative and remorseless individual. He took pleasure in the act of killing, often boasting about his crimes during his confessions. Little's ability to charm his victims and evade capture speaks to his cunning nature. He exploited societal biases and systemic failures, knowing that his victims' cases would receive little attention. The story of Samuel Little is a grim reminder of the vulnerabilities in our justice system. His ability to evade capture for so long highlights the need for better communication and resources in law enforcement. But it is also a story of resilience. Thanks to the dedication of investigators and advancements in forensic science, many of Little's victims now have names, and their families have answers. Samuel Little may have taken countless lives, but his story serves as a stark reminder of the resilience of justice and the enduring quest to give a voice to the voiceless. If you find this story useful, then subscribe to the channel for further videos.